early vision was these pools of liquidity that everybody can contribute to and everybody can draw off.
Welcome to the DeFi Standard, and this is Mickey B. Fresh. And the vision for XRP going into 2023, the table is being set for explosive growth, explosive adoption, interoperability from groundbreaking new technologies and financial products, as well as liquidity services that were unimaginable just a few years ago. Welcome to MickeyBFresh.com.
RippleX is the R&D arm of Ripple, if you like. All of the features we want to build on the blockchain really sit in RippleX. We're trying to really leapfrog the current standards that other crypto companies are working on today.
New capabilities, new ideas that I don't think you see today in any other space.
It's a very disruptive space, and the blockchain is now getting recognized as a venue to do
now business. The technologies are going to be things that didn't exist 6 months ago anyway.
We're still learning about this space, and we can take pivots when we need to.
Hyper accelerating the internet of value. That is the vision of what RippleX and Ripple are trying to do from a bottom-up and a top-down strategy. Vision that has been put forth almost 10 years ago. And David Schwartz's personal vision is global pools of public liquidity that everyone can contribute to and draw off. And we are just about at that phase after a decade where they are about to fulfill the point in building out the technologies to support those global pools of liquidity and to support the internet of value to start to take root, because it has not taken place yet.
It's an own order book because we can, and the functionality of both of them together is just, I don't have words to convey how excited I am about this feature. In October, we're very hopeful that developers will be able to use and test an early version on the developer network so people can build front-end UIs, integrate with new applications, and understand the features that it can provide. I would love to do the whole talk on the automated market maker and get really deep in the weeds, and I'm going to have to fight myself not to get very technical because this is sort of engineering perfection that certain things have. Any one of you who's worked on something, it doesn't have to be software, it could be cars, it could be bicycles, but anything where you're building something, you reach a point where like everything works together and it just fits really nice, and you're like, yes, this is like really nice. And then there will be a couple warts somewhere, but they really stand out because the rest of the design is so great. And we're reaching that point. So I want to talk about what makes this so amazing to me. And I will try not to get too deep in the weeds, but if you get me started after talking about this, you'll probably have to like smack me to get me to shut up. So I'm almost not kidding. So people who provide liquidity to the automated market maker. So the automated market maker, in order to trade, it needs assets to trade with. And so people have to sort of loan it assets. They put the assets in the automated market maker's pools. And they get back liquidity tokens. These are tokens, issued assets that are tradable on the DEX that represent their proportional ownership. So these tokens can be traded on the DEX. You can hold them. You don't have to cash them in for your share of the pools if you want. You can just sort of move them around and use them as an asset. And for US holders, this should be very tax efficient. Your gains won't be realized until you sell or dispose of the liquidity token. So if you put a bunch of XRP and a bunch of Bitcoin in a liquidity pool for an AMM, you'll get back some liquidity tokens, which you can just hold. The AMM will do its thing, hopefully producing return for you, and then you can sell those liquidity tokens when you're done, and then that will be, if you're in the US, that's a taxable event, but your money can grow tax-free. Obviously not tax advice, consult experts, but I think we got it. One of the other cool secret sauces is this continuous auction mechanism, which auctions off the right to arbitrage against the automated market maker. So this is something that's completely unique, not available anywhere else.
And this is important to understand, and I'm going to be blunt, ODL is not going to raise the price. If you're thinking that because they're doing a lot of volume through ODL, that's going to raise XRP's price, that's not how it works. So I know it's confusing, but fundamentally that's not how it works. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't impact the overall ecosystem and have a huge advantage in other ways that do then impact the value. Because liquidity is the beating heart of the XRP ledger.
Early vision was these pools of liquidity that everybody can contribute to and everybody can draw off that are kind of unbundled from the payment system or the asset that you're using to pay with. Automated market makers, I think, will help improve that liquidity because they can capture a long tail of assets better than technologies like order books can.
Data provisioning is the beating heart of the Flare network. And these are words, quote Hugo from Flare, quote David Schwartz, CTO from Ripple. And the automated market maker amendment is upcoming. This is this along with sidechains, which are being developed, they're going to be rolled out in early 2023. The AMM DevNet is right now in testing.
Done right, automated market makers on the XRP ledger could be a game changer, uniquely positioning it to leapfrog other DEXs.
This is going to impact the value. This is what you need to pay attention to. This is what Ripple is hiring 7 different RippleX marketing and content people for. Why would they be hiring that many people for? In community, why have we had 4 rounds of grants? Why have they actually pre-allocated 1 billion XRP? The only actual truly publicly pre-allocated XRP is to all of us in the community. And that's facts. It is a little shift. There's no question that they shifted from trying to go after the bigger banks to try to do tier 2, tier 3, and fintechs and payment providers. But let's just look at the reality here.
This privilege, it should reap as its own profit a significant fraction of what the arbitrage would make. So the pool charges for arbitrage rights, and it does it using its own liquidity tokens as the currency by which you buy these arbitrage slots, and it destroys them when they're paid to the pool. So arbitrageurs who want those arbitrage slots have to acquire liquidity tokens either by putting money into the pool or buying them from other people, and then they're destroyed. And if there are fewer liquidity tokens outstanding, the value of each one goes up because it's a claim against the assets of the pool. Now, another thing that happens is volatility. So external prices change, right? The price of XRP changes, the price of Bitcoin changes. That means the value of the assets the pool holds changes. And that drives up both arbitrager activity. There's only an opportunity to arbitrage if the price is out of whack. One source of the price being out of whack would be changes in the price. But also natural ledger activity, people making payments and offers. All of these things trade against the AMM instance, and the AMM makes a spread. But there's something else going on that's almost more exciting, which is volatility is harvested by the automated market maker. Normally, volatility just results in risk and a reduction in yield. But here, it's a gain in yield. The automated market maker actually implements a trading strategy that converts volatility into yield. And if you think about what an automated market maker does, when the price goes up, it sells, and when the price goes down, it buys. That strategy, if you imagine if you hold Apple stock and the price goes up and you sell, and then the price goes back down and you buy, you make a profit. If the price goes down and you buy and the price goes back up, you make a profit, and you sell, you make a profit. That's what an automated market maker does all day long. In addition, the automated market maker leverages the XRP ledger's inherent advantages. The XRP ledger has very, very fast transactions. The XRP ledger has very, very low transaction cost. These are things that will drive up the revenue and the efficiency of the automated market maker. So if the price of XRP goes up or down, and then it comes back in just a few seconds, if you were on a blockchain like Ethereum, there's no way that you could harvest that volatility because your transactions take several minutes to confirm. There's just no way that you can make that work. But because it is so fast, the trading algorithm can convert volatility into yield much, much more.
We are going to go into the next bull cycle, and it's going to be very different. And it's going to be DeFi focused. And it's going to start looking like whoever has that institutional, decentralized finance, compliance, and platform to handle tokenization and real money, big money. JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon doesn't put out to his shareholders that it's hybrid finance. He didn't say it's centralized private finance and a private network. No, he said decentralized finance on a public, on a permissioned public or even a permissionless. and we will go through it. They did a pilot together with SBI. I don't even want to say they did a pilot. They did an in-depth 4 different pilots in one as Project Guardian with DBS Bank, who is another Ripple partner. Now this is SBI, Digital Asset Markets, which they're Singapore-based, their whole division of digital assets and crypto and digital securities and tokenization, and then they have all the divisions underneath them. JP Morgan with their Onyx network, which is competition, and DBS Bank, who is a Ripple partner, but also works with, is based out of Singapore. And then the Monetary Authority of Singapore. This is who was behind this pilot. Now, the BIS did a little write-up on it, but it was nothing to what reality really took place. This was a true feasibility of tokenizing bonds and capital markets. And that's what we're going to start to see is this convergence is going to take place. There's not just this CBDCs go live and, XRP bridges everything. That's not going to take place like that. We're going to see a process where digital assets in general, these banks, these institutions, they want to get into not just crypto, not just to get Moon. They want business models and they want to be at the forefront and they want to offer services to their customers. But it's the tokenization and the actual issuance on the native blockchain. And now there is a difference there between tokenizing something in the physical world and issuing it natively. Some things can be issued natively, like stocks can be issued natively on a blockchain, but they could also be tokenized. Real estate is land physically in that form. So that will always be something that will be represented, that would have to be verified off-chain. And that's another thing that's going to be very important. And the XRP ledger cannot do everything. Everything will not run on the actual ledger. It's not built to do that. But it can be built as a network of networks where you have many different sidechains, where you could have private sidechains that are centralized. You could have a private decentralized. You could have a public decentralized, whatever type of sidechain for whatever they're app specific almost. It could be, or they could be more general. So we already know the EVM sidechain is built. That's going to stake XRP. That's another use case for XRP. And this is going to impact, that's going to be, I believe, a lot of the gaming and it's EVM. So it'll have DeFi.
One of the first applications for federated sidechains will probably be Ethereum virtual machine chains. That is a sidechain that implements the Ethereum virtual machine, but that can move tokens to and from the XRP ledger. I expect that federated sidechains will make available new applications that have not been previously possible for the XRP ledger, and a big one is going to be more powerful DeFi. We have a decentralized exchange built into the XRP ledger. We had the first decentralized exchange probably late 2012. But that's about there were not the full DeFi functions that you could get from an Ethereum virtual machine sidechain or a sidechain more tuned towards DeFi features.
The general idea is to enhance the utility of the XRP ledger by essentially having additional ledgers that sort of literally sit to the side of it. It's if you put those things on a side chain instead of on the main chain, and you make it sufficiently painless for the side chain to interoperate. Obviously, if the side chain is its own world, then you lose some of the benefits of the main chain. But if you can keep them sufficiently connected, then the people who want DeFi can have DeFi on the side chain, and they don't degrade the payment experience for people on the main chain. So the idea is to have more transaction capability, keep fees low. And I think the coolest part is there really is currently no good way for people to innovate right at the lowest layer, like in the blockchain itself. If you want to change the way let's say you want to change the way the actual blockchain works, you want to change the consensus algorithm, you want to change the way it represents information, you want to change its core transaction feature set, you really have no good way to do that. And this ecosystem would allow people to innovate right at that very, very lowest layer. So it's interesting to people who want to build new sidechains that have new features, and it's interesting to people who want to use the features that those new sidechains would provide.
It'll be complementary to Flare and likely bridge right to that through Layer Cake, and it will be easily go from your Zum to your MetaMask or any type of Web3 wallet. So this is already implemented. They're going through testing, and the different phases, but you'll probably see Forte launch through there, already is live, but they're going to tie it together as a sidechain. It's built on Tendermint and Cosmos SDK, but it's going to allow XRP, which only exists on the main XRP mainnet, to be issued onto a sidechain. It never leaves the mainnet. And there is private ledgers and sidechains. XRP, always the same price wherever it is. That's the efficiency of a market. As Larson will say here, as many use cases as possible. We want it as liquid as possible. There's absolutely zero benefit to try to create some kind of closed ecosystem with some asset nobody knows of or some other version of it. It inherently makes zero sense.
These need to be as liquid as possible. And so they need to have as many use cases as possible. For XRP, for example, the kind of early beachhead has been cross-border payments, but we see that as just the beginning of something that really has a multitude of use cases to get as liquid as possible. That's what drives utility and value at the end of the day. So I think in all fronts, I see it, but we see that as just the beginning of something that really has a multitude of use cases to get as liquid as possible. That's what drives utility and value at the end of the day. So,
and even the CBDC private ledgers, they don't even have XRP on them. They're for CBDCs. So there's no private ledger where XRP is used. I think there's a fundamental misunderstanding with that. And the reason David Schwartz is not going to say anything is because PolySign is storing keys on standard custody and memorializing transactions on AtomicNet. Would you consider, if the private keys are held on standard custody, that the assets are on standard custody then? I mean, they're technically not. So that's why, when you say, oh, they're using a private ledger, but standard custody is a custody ledger. It's meant to secure the keys. And it's going to do that and open up ability for institutions then to deploy staking right from that private blockchain. And they can stake to any network. That also means they can provide liquidity to any network. AMMs. We're going to see a transition within the community. We have this great XRP army that has fought through this case. We're about to get a ruling on it. And then they're going to just XRP Ledger's explosion that's going to come in 2023 from the build out of a best-in-class platform for development and opportunity. We have sidechains, we have automated market makers, we have NFTs, we have cross-chain interoperability, we have bridges, we have EVM sidechains, we got hooks, and so much more. It's coming, and we need to be there to provide the content because so much is going to change. That content and that understanding from what is happening is going to be really important going forward in 2023. This is unprecedented times of change and disruption taking place within the community. To truly understand what is going on, you're going to have to expand your horizons and look beyond 2018 and 2019 because things are already have changed. Now they're just rapidly advancing. There's so much development happening, and there's a pivot by RippleX towards crypto and Web3, and we are moving from being fans to being investors to being participants to being ultimately citizens on these networks and these communities to bring value and utility to these networks, but also for us to capitalize on the opportunity. Grants, they went through 4 rounds of grants. They've dedicated $1 billion XRP. Apex was explosive with developers, and they're building in anticipation of these sidechains, which could now all have all types of smart contracts.
On XRP Ledger to enable more secure, more private, pro-compliance and interoperable applications, and to give our developers community, the developers community on XRP Ledger, the best-in-class platform to build their use cases. And when we talk about enabling more applications and more use cases, one thing that we must think about is the scalability. So that's another research area that we are exploring within the research team, and we are looking at more advanced cryptographic primitives such as zero-knowledge proof systems, and also looking at both layer 1 and layer 2 solutions to improve scalability. So that's what I do. But today I'm really, really excited to talk about the automated market maker-based decentralized exchange, something that we have been working on most recently to add support on XRP Ledger.
So I'm just going to list them, but we're going to go through them more in depth. So you know these are things that you need to make the rest of the community aware. And I'm calling to action everyone who is aware of this and who does look into it. This is what's coming. This is going to impact you. It's different than maybe what you thought 2 years ago, but that's okay. Things change. Doesn't mean you're wrong. Doesn't mean XRP is not going to be successful. Doesn't mean ODL is not successful. ODL has been massively successful, but it was never there to drive price. The idea is to position XRP, and it is because RippleNet, technically they have the software plugged into 100 banks and hundreds of institutions already. Now you get them with a wallet. They're already in that tokenization mode. When the institutional DeFi comes in the next, who knows, next one, to, it could be 6 months to 3 years. I don't know, but it's coming, and that tokenization is going to converge. Whatever ecosystem is going to be able to have use cases and to facilitate using of the crypto asset with those tokenized assets and tokenized fiat is going to just be explosive. And that's something a little different than maybe what you maybe thought this was going to end like. Now, that doesn't mean that XRP can't be a global liquidity solution and it can't still bridge currencies between different corridors. Absolutely, it will. But that's going to take time. But you need as many use cases as possible. XRP is going to be the gas token for the metaverse on the Root network. Massive use case. Seen very few people talk about it.
At the heart of the open metaverse, Fluffworld has architected the Root network. Aaron McDonald, co-founder of Centrality, the team behind Fluffworld, had this to say: "Partnering with the Ripple team on the Root network opens a whole new world of possibilities for our community and theirs. We're excited about how we can further extend the utility of XRP as the default gas token of this metaverse network, while bringing the capabilities of the Root network and the open metaverse through XRPL's substantial global infrastructure footprint to developers." This is a stunning development for Ripple and XRP holders. As this new XRP use case unfolds, XRP will literally be used now to power the open metaverse and will serve as the gas token for the Root network. The Root network is designed in a way where any token can be used for gas to simplify the user experience. But in the background, every token is swapped for XRP and used as gas to process transactions. This means that XRP is the base pair token, and each and every token on the Root network will need an equal amount of XRP to provide liquidity. So it's not too hard to see how this plays out, especially if the Root network gathers momentum with new users and applications. More users and applications means more tokens, and more tokens means more XRP is needed to be sunk into these liquidity pools, taking it off the open market. And the laws of supply and demand simply dictate more demand, less supply, higher price. Aaron had a great conversation with David Schwartz, the CTO of Ripple. Let's take a listen to some of the highlights.
I'm David Schwartz. I'm the CTO at Ripple, co-creator of the XRP Ledger. I'm here with Aaron McDonald. So I have to ask you, what do you like about the XRP Ledger?
When I first started looking into it, I was quite surprised because there's quite a bit of rhetoric out there, and if you only investigate things at that level, you might be misled in terms of what's actually being built. I think it was a very clever solution to solving the energy problem and performance problem of proof of work. And the architecture of it, in some ways, if you implement it as the protocol was designed, is possibly more decentralized than proof of stake, because users get to choose the validators that they want to listen to. And so you can have this kind of layers of decentralization within the network that aren't available in other architectures, which I thought was really interesting.
So tell us what you guys are doing and why it's so interesting.
So we've been working for a while now to figure out what is the ideal user experience for bringing people into Web3. Our teams have been building at different layers. In the protocol layer, come up with some interesting inventions there that we've worked on and had patented. In the application layer, around wallet user experience, and more recently around the content space as funnels for users to come into Web3. All those little bits of stuff that people have been working on for the last 5 years, we tied together recently in a white paper called Enter the Futureverse.
The Futureverse. It is the monster white paper drop that Fluff, Aaron McDonald, all the crazy mofos who are connected to that ecosystem, they drop something big.
And the Futureverse as a concept is about bringing together what we'd call like the open metaverse operating system. So these different components that are necessary to drive safe user adoption for more users, an onboarding experience that feels familiar to them, and world-leading content experiences to draw them in. And there's a whole host of things below the surface on that protocol layer that we've been working on, particularly the Root Network.
The Root Network, a decentralized blockchain network optimized for user experience and onboarding. Yes, it's a layer 1. They're building a goddamn layer 1. This blew my mind when I saw it.
The Root Network's a new approach to building out a layer 1. So we stepped back from what's faster and cheaper and said, what's the best user experience? And the team put together a bunch of protocols that we think deliver a superior user experience and built those into the core of the network architecture.
I mean, it hasn't gone live yet, but it's about to. And that's a huge use case, actually. And we're going to cover that on this website. Is specifically, we're going to, as that rolls out, that Root Network, it's built on Substrate, it's EVM, and it's got about 40 different projects and a whole community behind it. And yes, XRP is the gas token. It's also the reward token for the staking of the validators. So every time somebody wants to pay in gas, it's got to be exchanged into XRP. And then that has a custodial blockchain on top of it too. And it happens to bridge to Ethereum. So they're building this ecosystem out as a best in class right in front of everybody. And the reason they're doing it is to leapfrog the rest of the crypto industry.
RippleX is the R&D arm of Ripple, if you like. All of the features we want to build on the blockchain really sit in RippleX. We're trying to really leapfrog the current standards that other crypto companies are working on today. This industry is moving so fast that RippleX is the place that we want engineers to come and really build the future.
This is why during this time of the case, they're building. Now, there's never done, but the modularness is going to start to come together. We're going to start to see it now take place. So what does this mean for us? It's opportunity in many ways to participate and not just ride the coattails of Ripple. They're going to be an infrastructure provider. They're not chosen by anybody. Chose Ripple. They are trying to get an ecosystem together. They're trying to entice other developers, other partners. Because the key with these blockchains is that there's not just one entity, that you want many entities. And they actually only have 2 validators right now. They don't even have the main software that's updated by the XRPL Foundation right now. So they actually have no influence over the network at all. Like it's continuously getting more decentralized. And the graph shows how there's just 2%, 5% of all validators. It's not necessarily how many validators you have. It's the overlapping of the UNLs. And you don't need to have the proof of stake staked in the way that they built their system, because they built these geographically distributed trust relationships between different entities. And you could trust whichever UNL you want. They're all going to come with the same transaction software. They can't reorder transactions in front the way miners do in proof of stake can. It's inherently different. And this is where I think the confusion comes in from other communities. But one thing I think our community has to do is we have to start reading and learning about the technology that they're putting out, learning centers, they're putting out courses, they're putting out documentation. We're going to be focusing on what's going on, what's factual, what's happening, which you could participate in, which is built for Web3 infrastructure, which is for everybody, and you could contribute to. So you holding your XRP on a nano ledger, hoping to it goes to $100 so you could sell to the next person, does absolutely nothing for the ecosystem. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but it doesn't do anything to help the network and the community and the adoption, the utility, and the value. These are inherent publicly permissionless blockchains. Whatever any influencer wants to say about what they think might happen doesn't matter. The Supreme Court could come down and say that there needs to be administrators on the XRP ledger. And David Schwartz actually pranked everyone with that. It doesn't matter.
It's a public good. It's a public resource.
The developer community, even in the past year, in 2022, the growth has just been incredible. Just comparing Apex this year, if you were here last year, most of you weren't. The growth is just amazing. What's been going on this year? I mean, it's just been incredible. It's just been incredible, the pace of development and innovation. You guys should give yourselves a hand, seriously, because we cannot do everything. We will do everything.
Want to stay in that ecosystem. So yes, there will be opportunities within the ecosystem, side chains. We're going to have hooks. We're going to have Evernodes with the layer 2 solution, which is going to be able to host any type of smart contracts. We're going to have the compliance. The greatest thing about the AMM, when we dig into it, is that's what's going to allow it to leapfrog Uniswap, because it's going to be 100% compliant, but decentralized and not controlled by anybody, and be able to handle regulated, compliant stablecoins right on the ledger, because anyone who uses an AMM has to get a trust line from the issuer, who's then could be the creator of the AMM, but they have no control over it, zero control. The way that AMMs are set up, they lose the account, any ability to do anything to it. And the fee, the max it could be is 1%, and it's voted on by the LP token holders. And we're going to talk more about this, but this is an opportunity to where you're going to be able to use your XRP and earn yield on it.
With an AMM, you basically just say, here's my funds, you deal with it, right? So as a result, things like Uniswap have become very popular. Now, what was interesting at Apex was then David Schwartz announces that we're going to create a AMM on the XRP Ledger, which will hopefully allow people to be able to stake funds and hopefully make make some profit from their XRP by staking it on the AMM, right?
Right. Yeah.
So that's stake funds and hopefully make make some profit from their XRP by staking it on the AMM, right?
Right. Yeah.
So
that's a great idea.
And it's not even just providing liquidity, which some people may say, oh, well, it could be impermanent loss and it could be this. There'll be other ways that will be because of these liquidity pools that will allow you just to easily lend and earn like 5%, 6% in a decentralized manner, where you don't got to trust Nexo, you don't got to trust Celsius, and it's decentralized. Because when somebody wants to borrow against their LP token, then you could lend XRP because you're guaranteed it's always to get it back, because that's half XRP and it could be half USD. That's a hybrid stablecoin. It's actually something I've not heard anybody talk about yet, but I think it's could be one of the most powerful things coming in the future. And it's the only time that David Schwartz, and we're going to see it, says bolstered by rewards. That has never been, I've never heard him utter that out of his mouth about anything except, maybe they did coupons from market makers and institutions, but never AMMs bolstered by rewards, or by an incentive or rewards programs, he says. Well, where's that coming from?
Liquidity providers will get better returns through the inherent execution advantages of the XRP ledger that I just mentioned, and a sort of secret sauce that will allow liquidity providers to get more of the profits normally lost to arbitrage. And it will be bolstered by incentive programs.
Let's see, what else releases on a monthly basis that we know of that has XRP?
It will be bolstered by incentive programs.
So this is what we need to be following. This is where the opportunity is. And at the same time, we're going to have EVM sidechain. You can have Flare going live. So we're going to have this now minting of FXRP going on to Flare. That's going to help drive assets off these exchanges. And what is Ripple building? So I think that's really probably the most important thing to understand here, is that they're building something massive. And here's their marketing. Department, a strategic direction and management of our flagship community programs, leveraging our strategic thinking, planning, content creation, execution, and analytical skills to support developed communities. As part of the integrated market team, you will engage with team members across product, marketing, social, content, events, and developers. So, and then it talks about what they're going to be doing. Are interested in a wide array of applications related to, these are kind of like the three core focuses: NFTs, tokenization, well, payments is a given, and DeFi. DeFi means any kind of capital markets. Once you have the liquidity at the bottom, it's not a smart contract liquidity. This is built into the network. So that means you can build all the smart contract applications on top of it. It's going to be far superior than Uniswap. And the way is to bring all the blue chip assets on there and then do it compliantly. And what are they building? They're building inherently a distributed exchange. The same thing they've been building forever.
Done right, automated market makers on the XRP ledger could be a game changer, uniquely positioning it to leapfrog other DEXs. And I believe the crypto market is favoring those exchanges with high innovation and high scalability. And innovations like the XRP Ledger automated market maker are just an example of working to own a slice of that DeFi pie. And don't expect to see DEX or DeFi innovation slow down anytime soon. Expect the opposite, in fact.
RippleX operates on the belief that realizing the Internet of Value hinges on how easily new technology works for more people and how effectively we can change the way the world operates today. RippleX is helping more people participate. Practical support and capabilities to develop applications that move digital value faster and more easily. This is the second year they've hosted the Apex Summit. It was like, I think he said it was like 10 to 20 times more developers this year than last year's. So by them adding smart contracts, NFTs, now we have to support that as a community. So I'm just asking everyone to look towards what's being built in XRP Ledger and just, it doesn't mean we forget about RippleNet or forget about ODL or forget about institutional, things that are going on. Absolutely don't forget, but let's acknowledge that this is here and this is happening and not just overlook it, because it seems like everyone's just overlooking it like, that's something they say they're going to do and then it never happens. It's really a banks thing. And then everyone's just like, and then all these, the actual participation is going to come very soon. Like as soon as 2023 hits and we see the case end, yeah, there might be a speculation pump, but there's no flip the switch moment, you're going to get rich thing. It would be just so powerful, I feel like, if the XRP army, after winning this case and then having it influence the way we did, and all the people who dug up information, I think everyone deserves credit, for participating in that and being part of it. But now, we don't want to make the mistake and just completely be oblivious to what's coming in front of us, because there's just a bunch of people that have built up a narrative over many years, and it's not even their fault really, because I understand why it happened. I came into the space that way too, but once you dig into it, and it becomes apparent that that's just hype, and you have to decipher hype from reality of what's happening. So being able to deploy your XRP, being able to trade right on the XRP Ledger, we're not going to have to use these exchanges anymore. No more. There should be no more staring at the exchange prices. We'll be having an on-chain distributed exchange with basically unlimited liquidity, literally. And this is going to be tied to the order book and to the payment execution engine, which creates a solution that is simply unmatched. And then you have Flare over there with their data provisioning network, building all the bridges to a layer cake. So the way the XRP ledger is going to be, it's going to be a network of networks. So you have the main ledger. There's only one main ledger. It's only one XRP. Then you might have these private islands out there that aren't sidechains. And then they do get hooked in as sidechains. But there's also some, they've said 1 or 2 central banks or other type of entities that are going to be issuing things on the public chain. They can only do that because they're going to be able to make it compliant. The solution that they built in the XRP ledger has not been used to its fullest. The trust lines are baked in with compliance. You can't get a trust line from an issuer unless you're satisfy whatever it is. Now, this is where digital identity and decentralized self-sovereign identity and verifiable credentials, there's no Orwellian, we control everything plan coming. The technology is already there. The standards are already there from W3C, and zero-knowledge proofs coming through. You'll have more privacy than you'll ever have. Instead of having to give your data away to all these foreign exchanges that everyone has no problem giving it to, and decentralized self-sovereign identity is going to be the best thing, because that's what's going to allow us to get access to more products and more services. And it's also going to be how institutional money can then commingle with retail in liquidity pool. Because like if you go on Coinbase and you're trading with that could be institutional on the counterparty. They don't know who it is. All they know is everyone in there is KYC'd, AML, and that's all they need to know. And that's exactly what's going to happen with these, but they're still going to remain decentralized. And you're not going to really interact at the pool level. There'll be applications that you'll interact through and aggregate everything. So what is that for? To make the user experience very fluent, so it's not clunky, so you don't have to be very technical to be able to use the actual, on the blockchain. You could have a nice interface that has Web 2 usability, and even if it could be centralized even. I mean, it could be decentralized, but the underlying infrastructure is decentralized, and it's aggregating liquidity based on the algorithms and protocols built into the ledger. It's going to either route it through the order book, it's going to route it, and it just makes a payment. So, and it's safer because you don't have the smart contract risks. These are smart transactors. Now, there is a significant amount of, adding of objects to make the AMM work, but it's nothing that's really of risk to the ledger. Like hooks is likely going to be a sidechain. And from the way David Schwartz and Ripple has talked about it, it looks like they're 100% on board with that coming on the ledger. Not like they have a say, but, at first when he proposed it, it was like, all right, they were developing it. And then on the back end, Equilibrium, which not many people know about, is like an infrastructure Web3 specialist who works with knowledge proofs, and some other companies put together, worked with the XRP Labs team to put together the hooks builder. And there's where you need to look is where the developers building and why are they building. And that's what you need to look at. Yes, there'll be a lot of shit coins and, random projects that are nowhere, and you got to navigate through that swampland. But throughout all that, there's going to be some significant projects, and it'll be great. Now, it doesn't mean you have to invest in another token, but you could utilize a protocol, utilize a dApp with your XRP, and it's going to be trustless. And then we have standard custody and Atomic Net and MG Stover, which is going to be a powerhouse. Those are going to be sitting adjacent. And I have the PDF that literally describes exactly what they're doing. It's like 2 years old or so. So all you have to do is just apply to what PolySign and Standard Custody are doing now. And I found the documents from actually Standard Custody, and shows exactly that XRP was the first asset integrated.
But we absolutely look to partner with Ripple and Ripple holders of XRP going forward. We'd like to think we have an unfair advantage there with Arthur and David's petty assets, but we absolutely look to partner with Ripple and Ripple holders of XRP going forward. We'd like to think we have an unfair advantage there with Arthur and David's pedigree. And that was the first asset that we onboarded through our dev, and as we were building out the tech. So we have a lot of friends at Ripple, and very much look forward to this part of their journey getting resolved satisfactorily and being out there in the market. And I think not only from a custody standpoint, there may be other ways that we can work with Ripple going forward. That's certainly my hope and expectation.
And Jack McDonald recently did a webinar and talked about exactly how Atomic Net's going to work. It's going to memorialize transactions from that distributed exchange, and it's going to have a full audit trail. And then they're going to use standard custody to store the keys. And then the compliance and service layer are going to be built on sides of that. Everything's compliant in an enterprise application layer. For you, me, from Bank of America, and whatever corporate customers. And the other thing is the banks aren't... I feel like there's this concept that everyone thinks the banks are going to use digital assets. That's way far from that. Regulations won't even do it. Actually, it's the prudential regulations you need from international, where they could hold it on balance sheets and do all that stuff. They would offer maybe services to their customers, but people getting ahead of themselves. So, Jamie Dimon's putting out to his shareholders, they're going all in on institutional DeFi. It's a race. That's what the race is for in my eyes right now. SBI's been planning this since well before 2020, because they were talking liquidity hub in Singapore before Ripple announced, and they're doing digital securities. They got all the partnerships with Swiss SDX exchange in Switzerland, the Bourse one in Germany. They bought the B2C2 broker. The partners with R3 and Digital Asset Holdings and Signum Bank they invested into. So they have the Singapore, Switzerland, Japan triangle going on there because they're the most regulated when it comes to tokenization of security tokens. Just signed a partnership with, not a partnership, but expanded to go live, I think it's this month, on Securitize's platform for digital securities. They're going to be way ahead of us with that. They already have clarity. So we're going to start to see that happening in APAC first, Switzerland, and Japan. And once we could get Gensler out of there, it'll start happening here. But that's, I think, what Ripple X are playing for.
But like, if we're trying to constructively build technology that's going to be useful, and if we want to get these things into the trillions of dollars, many trillions of dollars, and just like take over the economic system with better, more modern systems, what we need to do is we need a target market. We need people who are using cryptographic credentials to move money. We need people who are using public blockchain systems and making irreversible payments, because that's our target market. Imagine if you were in charge of Twitter's marketing and nobody had internet access and nobody had phones. Who do you market to, right? Like, your target market is people who have internet access. Your target market is people who have phones so that they can tweet like at any moment of any. And Twitter didn't build those things. It's Twitter's competitors in the entire internet ecosystem that put internet access everywhere and put phones that can use internet access in just about everybody's hands. Like, that's what we need. We need to grow that target market. And in that sense, we're not competing with anybody. We're sort of cooperating to build a bigger space. And then if a particular technology is the best solution and people have the ability to use it, they'll use it. But if you try to confine people to use the technology that you like, first of all, that's kind of why I got into Bitcoin, because everybody's like, no, you should use the conventional financial system because it enriches the incumbents. And now it's like, you should use Bitcoin because it makes Bitcoiners rich. And you should use, Ethereum because it makes, and yeah, you'll hear that in the XRP ecosystem too. I'm not, this is not a holier than thou kind of thing. People will tell you, build on the XRP ledger because I want my XRP to become more valuable. And I think that's what's going to do it. But what people should do is, number one, if they have the freedom to choose the thing that works best for them, users will get the best experiences. And if users don't get good experiences, there will not be users. And then whatever's the best solution, they'll use it because it's the best. If you have to capture your users somehow, I think you're not gonna be able to provide the kind of experience people want. So I don't see it as competitive. I really mean that. I know this is sounds like something that someone would say, and I don't know what I have to do to convince people that I'm being honest and serious here. We need to bring cryptocurrency to the masses, to every problem that it can solve. And if there aren't a wide set of problems that it can solve, then that's on us in the space to improve the technology until it can solve a wide set. And then when you go to someone, you say, I have a technology that solves an actual problem you have, why would they not use it?
So when you look at what's the vision? Okay, you say it's the internet of value, but what does that mean? Who's going to use this, right? You can't expect institutions, enterprises to use this if you don't have an ecosystem. That's what the chicken and egg on top of liquidity was. And the community is going to ride the coattails. They're here just to be fans, and just get in early like we're a test dummy lab rats. But we're not. It's actually, it's our opportunity as pioneers of the network to see what's being built. And I think that we didn't see in the last 3 years or so what was being built. So in the last year, it's become pretty known, but in the last few months, it's really become known. And they didn't jump to the gun with DeFi or any of that because honestly, it was immature and it's still experimental, but it's starting to become mature. You have all this attraction from all this institutional interest. They want services. They want to create business models and they want to offer things to their customers. But if there's not that, staking is the first thing that they could wrap their head around. And that's where I think XRP and ETH think they hit head on, because ETH's going to be marketed as like this bond because it's going to pay yield on its staked asset, and then you'll get a derivative back from it that represents the staked ETH. But it's still a derivative.
We at Ripple are focused on enabling developers to build on the XRP Ledger easily. We provide tools, services, and so on. We're one contributor to the global and growing development and evolution of the XRP Ledger. And it has just been amazing to be part of this community. It has just been the most fantastic experience. I think I speak for everybody at Ripple. It has just been amazing working with everyone. We've been focused on new native capabilities. We've been focused on sort of the periphery around the ledger, and we've been focused on making the XRP Ledger easier to use for developers. Near and dear to my heart, the automated market maker specification. I almost said automated money maker, which actually is kind of, it's actually pretty apropos, right? So one of the disadvantages of holding assets like XRP and Bitcoin is their volatility. All right, why do we have stablecoins? Because volatile assets are like hard to hold and use. I'm hopeful that this combination of features in the AMM specification will turn that disadvantage into a significant advantage. AMMs will harvest volatility for yield. Volatility will drive market makers. But there's something else going on that's almost more exciting, which is volatility is harvested by the automated market maker. Normally, volatility just results in risk and a reduction in yield. But here, it's a gain in yield. The automated market maker actually implements a trading strategy that converts volatility into yield. And the AMM solution is going to be deployed. We're going to see more enterprise DeFi applications. But we need you guys to build the future. We need you to tell us what you need. We need you to build things. And I think awareness of the XRP Ledger as a layer 1 option has been increasing. Those speeds, fees, scalability, low energy uses, and I think the track record, 10 years running, and the built-in DEX, tokenization, sourcing efficient liquidity. The XRP Ledger rises to the fore as a core opportunity to differentiate against other chains with these features.
It's a public good. It's a public resource.
Thank you. So great to be here.